All right. So wait for this to come up. But what I gotta say, driving over the Skyway is amazing. Amazing. I told Chris, I think I need to move to Tampa after seeing that Skyway. He's like, Mark, we're closed. Too many people here. But as a Floridian, I love the ocean. Right? I love the ocean. Yeah. Amazing, underrated, get your kids there. So, automating your podcast with AI, I'm excited. I feel like I just need to evangelize this to the world because it's so powerful, and I can't wait to talk about it today, right? Because podcasting has so many steps. There's so many steps. This is just like a handful of them. Everything from idea formulation to your guest outreach, all the way down to sharing on social media and your emails and telling everyone. There's so many steps. Does anyone ever feel overwhelmed with how many steps are in a podcast? It's a little bit unbelievable. It's a little bit unbelievable. But where does AI play into this? That's a question that I've been asking. These supercomputers, these superhuman brains, like, those could probably help a little bit, right? The problem is that most podcasters we have our heads in the sand. Oh, it's too technical. Podcasting is, it's a human thing. This is too inhuman. It's too complicated. Or I love this one, it's gonna blow up the world. There's so many reasons. There's so many reasons, right? But at the end of this presentation, I want you to take your head out of the sand and lead the pack of ostriches. We're gonna lead the ostriches, all right? It's gonna be amazing. This is gonna be you right at the front. Has anyone ever fed an ostrich before, by the way? They're intense. Oh yeah. They will chomp right through the window. They don't play around. So a little bit about me, as you can see here, I'm a podcast agency owner. I'm a podcast host. I lead a mastermind. And, I actually fell into AI by accident. As an agency owner, I had a team member who left the agency. I was like, crap, what am I gonna do? And as I was starting to look for someone, I said, well, I guess I'm gonna take over that role. And I started writing show notes for all my clients. And I said, this is taking forever. This is taking forever. And so I said, there's gotta be a better way. And lo and behold, there is. There is, and I gotta say, I started using AI to write show notes and descriptions and copywriting, and then I used the technology to train new team members in how to use this technology, and it brought my costs from like $100 per episode to like $5 per episode. Pretty powerful stuff, and yeah, we're gonna talk a lot about that today, so I'm excited about it. So again, we're gonna talk about specific tools that I've used, that I like, that you can use, practical strategies. Then I'm gonna talk about some of the problems I've had with AI and stuff that I'm looking out for, and then you can, when you find it, you can tell me. Please, if you're on YouTube, please leave in the comments any solutions you have, because I'm trying to solve these problems. Then talk a little bit about some of the things I'm concerned about and things for the future, right? So the whole AI masterclass here in 30 minutes, right? Because AI changes everything. Every industry is going to be changed. ChatGPT just went viral. It can pass the bar exam. It can pass the US medical licensing exam. You might have seen the 60 Minutes with the lead, the CEO from Google, where their AI bar just learned Bengali just from a question. Someone asked it a question in Bengali. It's like, oh, I just know the Bengali language now.
It didn't help me pass my math test.
Coming soon. Coming soon. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's unbelievably powerful, right? But you see all this stuff, you're like, okay, that's great, Mark. It's going to change the world. Elon Musk is hot on it. It's going to do it. Yeah, but what about me? What about today? What's practical? That's what we're gonna get into, right? So one of the first ways, then one of the unique ways, is using ChatGPT for research. This is something you do today. It's very simple, very easy. And you can, I would just go into ChatGPT and ask, hey, give me a list of 20 marketing experts that are frequent podcast guests. Gave me a list: Seth Godin, Neil Patel, Ann Handley, Jay Baer. Pretty powerful, right? And then I said, okay, that's great, I have all the names, but what about their websites? Boom, 20 websites, references. Then I can send this to my team member, and she can go out and book all the appointments, right? Just as a side note, I have a large client that gets 300,000 downloads per month. And this client said, hey, Mark, I need advertisers, I need sponsors, help me find sponsors. So what did I do? I go to ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, give me a list of 500 companies that have advertised on podcasts in the past. Done. Now I need their websites. Done. Send those all to my assistants. They're out there sending emails right now to get that going. Pretty powerful stuff.
They give you contact too?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, emails are tricky. Emails are tricky because that can be personal information, sensitive personal information. But generally speaking, if you say, hey, give me a link to their website.
And then you search it yourself.
Exactly. Now, I know I can't wait to get to the end because one of the reasons I love doing these presentations is you're gonna tell me what your secrets are, and then I can use them and apply them to my business and share them with others just like you. But here are a couple prompts that I really like in ChatGPT specifically, one of which is just tell it to be more compelling. It's that simple. Let it write something, say, hey, rewrite it again, just be more interesting. It'll be more interesting. I know it sounds obvious, but it will be. Write me a better hook, write me a more compelling hook. This word compelling is, it works.
It's a command word.
When I tell my kids, hey, be more compelling, they're like, all right, I'm gonna go, cause trouble or something, But ChatGPT will listen, unlike my 4-year-old. Another problem that I hear time and time again with ChatGPT is ChatGPT, after it writes a certain amount of words, it just stops. You're like, what about the rest of it, bro? What about the rest? Well, if you just ask it to continue, it'll keep writing like it never missed a beat.
With that as well, though, also, you can say, hey, give me 800 words of this, and this in this tone, and it'll write you 800 something words.
That's exactly right. Tone, we'll talk a little bit, we're talking about that right now, heck. But yeah, you're exactly right. It's so powerful. In fact, you can even take, we were talking about this, Wendy and I were talking about this before, Nancy, excuse me, we were talking about this before the session. You can upload a bunch of your old blog articles or emails to train ChatGPT to type in your tone of voice, right? You can kind of train your chat. Super powerful. We talked about give me references a little bit. This is another really cool thing. Ask it to create you a table, a pros and cons table. I'll talk a little bit more about a cool example of that, but it'll create tables for you. And then this is another cool thing that really blew my mind the other day, is that who likes to read books? Anyone here like to read books? Books are pretty cool. They've been around for a long time. They're pretty powerful. You can't read every book, right? But you can ask ChatGPT to take the concepts from books and apply them to your need at the moment, right? Story Brand is one of my favorite books by Donald Miller, and he basically it's like a marketing book taking the hero's journey arc. You say, hey, apply Donald Miller's, this is what my business is, this is what I do. Apply Donald Miller's Story Brand to my business. It'll lay out the entire plan. Unbelievable. So much like Mr. Doge here, when I saw this, I said, wow. This is pretty mind-blowing. So in my group a few weeks ago, one of the members put on a masterclass on how he scraped his entire website, all the copy from his website, and used ChatGPT to optimize all of the copy. This is where we were playing with StoryBrand. But then we said, hey, you know what? There's lots of different types of website formats. That's why we pay thousands and thousands of dollars to website developers. And we said, hey, based on what you know about my business, what's the best format for mine? And it said, well, based on your multiple services that you offer, you should use the modular type. And we said, okay, great. Can you do that for me? Can you build me out my layout? It gave me all the headers, the subheaders. It even gave us the keywords that it would recommend for our website to make sure that we're ranking. And Chris, talked a little bit about ranking before. Unbelievable. That entire masterclass is on YouTube right now for free. It's pretty cool. It's all up there on YouTube. He even Dan Knight, love you, brother. He was even gracious enough to create a document, a 7-page how-to document. So it's all there on the tubes where this guy lives. So anyway, I thought that was a really practical thing. Who here feels like you need to update your website?
I need to build it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's like a constant battle. We always need to update it, right? I'm telling you, this will save you thousands of dollars. Thousands and thousands of dollars. It's unbelievable. All Actually, one of the members of our groups paid $5,000 to have his website developed, and then this came the next week. He was like, Mark, I'm so mad at myself. I'm so mad at myself. So anyway, yeah. So this is one of the things I think is super compelling, super interesting, can help you today with your show notes production. Because I don't know about y'all, but I'm a podcaster. I want to speak. I don't want to write. You know what I'm saying? Some of you might want to write. That's great. I want to write. So these are some great tools that I've used for writing show notes. It's pretty slick. You upload your audio file. It writes the show notes for you. You know, pretty simple, pretty simple. Now, they do still require human touch. I've been particularly excited about Swell because not only does it write the show notes, it'll write you blog articles based on your audio episode. It'll write potential titles. It'll give you 10 to 15 different titles. So it's pretty slick. I also have been meeting with the developers, and they're every day iterating more and more. So I've been a big fan of Swell. The Capsho girls are great. Poditize I've heard about, haven't gotten a chance to test it out yet.
Does Swell AI, is there a cost? Because Capsho, I have Capsho, there's a cost to it. Does Swell AI have a cost as well?
I think you get 2 a month free with it.
I know there is a cost. I run an agency, so I'm paying $100 plus individuals. But so there is a cost attached. However, I'm gonna give you another option. I'm gonna give you another way that blew my mind. Someone presented this to me. This is crazy. This is crazy. So you may have heard of this program before. It's called Zapier. Anyone ever heard of Zapier before? Mind-blowing. What it does, if you're not familiar, is it connects apps together. So an app that doesn't normally talk to other apps, like Slack, might not talk to Monday, or Gmail might not talk to your Google Doc. It connects them all together, and you can set up automations, right? Well, you can automate with ChatGPT. This is the type of thing that gets me really excited, is automating and AI together, living in harmony, dogs and cats just having a great relationship, right? So I want to show you something that I've developed, which I think is super interesting here. So, okay, I'm getting so excited. I'm getting so excited. I don't know if it's the coffee or the excitement, but so I use this process in a couple different ways. So after I record an episode of my show, I fill out a Google form immediately with all the key takeaways, all the notes to my assistant or my team to produce. Or maybe you want to make a note to your future self so when you go get around to editing it in a few weeks, you don't forget what's happened. I know about y'all, but sometimes I forget what we talked about in episodes, right? So right afterwards, I fill out the Google response form, right? Then I send it over to ChatGPT, right, using Zapier. Afterwards, it's automatically going to create a Google Drive folder, and it's going to create a customized document inside that Google folder based on the information I input in the Google form and ChatGPT, right? So I know what you're saying, Mark, this is complicated, you're losing me. Stay with me here. I'm going to show you what it looks like. I'm going to show you a little bit more practically how this looks, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the prompts that go into ChatGPT, okay? So this is the prompt I use in ChatGPT. Write a compelling, remember I talked about compelling earlier? That's an important word. Write a compelling show description for this live interview on the After Hours Entrepreneur podcast. Keep the description short to medium length. You can be very specific too and tell it exactly how many words you want or a criteria. And then I say, please give me 3 compelling, SEO-rich show titles. And then you can see here all these places where you see this little purple form. These are the answers. These are the information that I put into the Google form. So I put in the guest name, I put in their bio, which I actually collected during the guest onboarding process. You can automate this with Calendly too as well. That's another way you can do this. I put in potential titles, anyway. Guest name, email, bio, key takeaways. Here's the whole thing. This will be up on YouTube too if you want to go watch and rewatch this. But this is what it spits out at me on the back end. Result. This is what it gives me. Because we've input it and set up the query in ChatGPT correctly, it's going to give me 3 titles. I can pick the best one, or my team member can pick the best one, right? It gives me the bio. I always like to start with bios. People might disagree with me, but I find one of the best ways to rank is by ranking by the guest's name and by the name of their company. I want anytime someone types in my guest name, I want to be at the top, right? So I start with the bio, which they've given to me, and then this is what ChatGPT wrote. This I have not done anything. ChatGPT Rose. Join us for an enlightening conversation with David Owasi, founder of Ace Marketing, as he shares his insights on how AI empowers salespeople to be highly effective. Discover how LinkedIn information can be easily scraped and used to customize messaging, and how embracing AI tools goes on and on. It gives me 3 key takeaways, and it's giving links. By the way, all I did was after the podcast, I took 3 minutes, I filled out a Google form. That's it. Now it's giving me my titles, my description, my links, all done. It's done.
So like on the links, did you double check, make sure the links work and all that stuff?
So the links I get directly in the intake. So anytime I have a guest, I say, hey, what links would you like to share, right? Or if I have like a sponsor for the month, something like that, I'll input it there also, right? And yeah, this is infinitely customizable based on the way you set up your ChatGPT prompt, right? But I want to just go one level deeper here, right? I said, hey, I'm going to need to write a promo email. Why not just have ChatGPT write me up the promo email? So I also asked it to do that. This is the next section here. Not fully optimized. I think this needs a little bit of play, but you can start to see how by putting in great prompts into your forms, by putting great prompts in based on customer guest questions, ChatGPT can take over all the rest. And by the way, this whole process probably would have cost you $100, $150 an episode. Now it's pennies. It's pennies. And of course, the better your input, well, the better your output. You can be like a space laser guy.
Are those AI generated images?
Every image is AI generated. Yeah, everyone. Yeah, every one.
What site do you use for that one? Do you know?
What?
AI site.
Yeah, this is Lenza, which hey, look, there it is. David's got that ESPN going on, right? He's got the ESPN. Mean Girls. Quick reference for everyone who's watched Mean Girls. Yeah, the ESPN. Anyway, so y'all have probably heard, these are some of the tools that I've used. I'm hot on, I like them. Descript, great for audio editing. By the way, one of the cool things you can do with that is just remove all the ums and your nos. I just encourage everyone to be careful with that, because if you just go in and just arbitrarily remove them all, I see the nod from our audio engineer in the back. It sounds like someone's scratching the record, so it jumps a little bit, so you've got to be a little bit careful with that. This is something I'm very interested in. I don't do a lot of clip production personally. I have a team that does that, but we've been using CapCut, video.ai, Memento, we were talking about, memento.fm. Again, it's unbelievable. Like with Memento, what I do is I just link it up to my YouTube channel. It could go scrape every video on your YouTube channel and create clips, templated perfectly for every platform. This would have cost you thousands of dollars to do this. Now it's pennies. Like you mentioned, all these images are created by Lenza, which is a cool app. Midjourney is another really cool text to graphic creator, which is really cool. I'm trying to find ways to incorporate this in with Zapier. I'm talking with one of the reps over at Zapier now to figure out the best way to do that. I'll be sharing that on YouTube, of course. And we talked about Swell. So again, what I'm really focused on right now, and hopefully y'all can help me, you can feed the beast here a little bit. I want to see how much of this can I automate? How much of this can be replicated with AI? Because I believe that we're quickly coming to a place where nearly 95% of this can be fully automated, which kind of puts my podcast production agency out of business. But that it saves. Yeah, the impact for the masses, for podcasters, is going to be massive. I had Alex Sanfilippo come present for my mastermind. He said, I want to see more people podcasting. Right. And the number one barrier is it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. AI solves that problem. Really powerful. So again, some of the key things that I'm really interested in right now, how do I automate the social media piece? Does anyone like wake up with cold sweats on Sunday night, like, oh, did I post to social media today? Did I post to my Instagram story? I hate that. I want to automate all that. So I'm looking very closely at solutions. There are some that are in development. I'll keep you posted. Chatbots for sales and lead gen. I see my man Gio back there is like, Mark, I got some stuff for you. I know Gio's hot on that. Because paying sales teams is very expensive. It's very time consuming. You got to train them. Someone leaves to go work for your competition. What if you could have a robot that's doing all of that preliminary lead gen and pre-qualifying? And then AI for email engagement. This is something I'm interested in too. All these solutions are out there, I just haven't really wrapped my head around it completely. Again, some of the questions, some of the concerns that I think a lot of people might be having now is who owns it? I heard some people talking about copyright and who owns the content. Is there a point where Google's going to start downranking you because you've got a robot? This is something that is already starting to happen. You may not be aware, but content is being produced at scale. At scale. And so platforms they're going to be like, Elon was talking about this the other day. He said the New York Times on Twitter is the equivalent of Twitter diarrhea because they're posting 200 times a day, right? And so this is what I think you're going to see happening is LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, it's going to be flooded with content. So, how are these companies are they going to start to downrank? Are they going to start to flag content that's being, I don't know.
How would they tell?
I don't know.
I mean, they're using it themselves, so.
Sure, and if you take writing for example, there's tools that can determine what's written by AI and what's not.
With that, so with writing, right? You can actually example. You write an article, you pop that into Word, and you actually do an editor, and you can do a full 100%, and then look for online sources, look for anything like that. It does nothing. It comes up 0, 100%. So it's original. How are other people going to notice if it's by AI or if it's by you?
Right. So when it comes to text, there is a tool that we've used. It's called writer.com, I think is maybe the name of it. I haven't used it in a little while, but basically, so what AI writing is a predictive text mechanism, right? So basically, it predicts, based on this word, what's the next word going to be, and so on and so forth. And what these tools can do is they can recognize when, okay, this is all in line with predictive. So one way around that is just change up every 7th word or so to throw off the tools. But it's gonna get more sophisticated. But anyway, this is something that I'm thinking about, SEO downranking, right? AI replacing human jobs. Right, if you start looking at, the Writers Guild of America is like, we don't want AI coming in and doing all the script writing and all the comedy writing and whatnot, because we were talking about this, Nancy and I.
The hot new job is, prompt engineering?
Prompt engineering, kids start now, that's the best career to go into, prompt engineering, 100%. We just saw earlier, can pass the bar exam. Why do I want to hire an attorney when I can hire an AI that does it for a fraction of the cost, knows all the precedent ever created, can scour the internet? Why would I hire an attorney?
You can't replace Jack.
Okay, Jack. You gotta take your head out of you gotta be an ostrich at the lead, right?
Price just came down.
Right. So that's the thing. Or contracts. Like every time I send something to my contract attorney, it's like, all right, it's $500. When I could do something that's pretty comprehensive with AI. And then, of course, the big question of what's real versus fake. Quickly entering a world where we just don't know. I saw a video of Biden the other day after he gives his speech, is walking off stage, and someone had put in a deep fake of him saying, do you think that those idiots bought that load of crap? Biden didn't actually say that, I don't think. But it doesn't matter. If you saw it in the moment, exactly, it's what did you hear now? So those are, I think, some major considerations that we shall be thinking about as we move into the next age of humanity, really. And listen, we've only yet scratched the surface. We've only scratched the surface. This is something I'm talking about constantly in our mastermind. I'm bringing in experts to talk about this, just because I think this is the thing. This is the thing, and this is the thing. Because 99% of people are going to do nothing. They're not going to do nothing, right? They're going to have their head in the sand. It's too scary. It's too technical. I just don't get it. And I think it's a really, really dangerous place. Absolutely. Just an example, Walmart has announced that they aim to make 63% of their stores fully automated in 3 years. 3 years. And if Walmart's doing it, Target's going to do it, Kmart, Bed Bath & Beyond, RIP, everyone's going to be doing it.
Amazon tried it in New York and they closed it down.
Sure.
They're going to correct it.
It's an interesting topic, I think, and retail, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the number one, if not the number one employer in the United States. What do you do when huge swaths of people are unemployed? I don't know. Anyway, the best thing to do is start learning it, start playing with it. Yes. And so I just encourage everyone to take action, because I'm going to take action. We're taking action over here. And again, this is a link to my YouTube channel. I'd encourage you. I'm producing tons of content. I'm trying to keep it very practical. Very watch this for 10 minutes, go home, and make it happen. And that's the presentation, Tampa. I hope you're still with me here. I hope you haven't fallen asleep on me. This is a long one. Woo.
All right, guys, so we have great job, Mark. So what we'll do, make sure to take a picture of the QR code. We're going to take it off the screen in a bit.
Yeah, and by the way, if you've taken any pictures of me tonight, please tag me. Mark Savant Media. Tag me. I'll re-tag you. That's what we're here
Scott
for.
already put a great picture on the. I'm jealous of your pictures. I got to up my game. He's putting up better pictures on the group. And thank you. You're making my life easier. We're going to take 3 or 4 questions. So just raise your hand if you have a question about AI. Go ahead, Mary.
Oh, thank you.
And repeat the question so people in the back.
Because you were saying you wanted to know how to plan out your thing and da-da-da-da-da. It's social media.
I'm sorry, Mary. You
When you was going through your presentation,
She's
you were
saying
saying how you was going to
you can use
automate.
Hootsuite to automate your social media.
Automate all your different pieces. And
So one of the tools is
Yeah.
Hootsuite. Mary's
Right.
sharing, yeah. Okay, other questions? Thank you for the share. Go ahead, Bob.
Quick statement, in the early 1990s, I went into the corporate training world, and I avoided what was happening, which was the online evolution of training. So I liked the room, because that's what I knew and whatnot. So I've seen this before, and I did not embrace it, but I'm going to embrace AI today.
Let's go, Bob. Let's go. Embrace it. Embrace it.
I'll be successful, but I'm going to embrace it.
Just 20 minutes a day, 15 minutes a
Tyler,
day.
Chef, go ahead, Tyler.
Are you seeing, Mark, video-based AI editing programs hanging up a lot? I'm I think one of the script, for example, it always says restart. Is that, you experience that as well?
I haven't had that problem personally. The apps that we're typically playing with, like the CapCut, the video.ai, they've worked pretty smoothly for the most part. Sometimes you might tweak, like this clip doesn't have a great start point or vice versa, or maybe you need to play with the subtitles. I haven't had the timeout problem. So, yeah, I don't know. Interesting idea. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. A friend of mine, actually, I edited her podcast. We were talking about AI today. She just started using it for her scheduling and whatnot. I noticed on the board that you said it had audio editing capabilities. Now, one of the programs she uses to write transcripts. And one of the biggest problems with the transcripts, where it takes, audio and converts it to text, it has some trouble attributing the dialogue to the individual.
Right.
Okay, and the right person who said what when. How accurate, have you noticed, or have you had any information about how accurate this new AI is now at this point? Has it gotten any better? Because I spent a lot of time just figuring out who said what. If I didn't know their voices, I wouldn't know who was talking.
Sure, great question. The question is, AI is having a difficult time figuring out who says what when it comes to transcriptions. And you're absolutely right, Bob. I have seen that. One of the things I think when it comes to the descriptions and the show notes in particular, we keep a very close eye on that. And I think that that form situation I explained at the beginning works. I actually was playing with a really cool app this past 2 weeks ago. It's called Avoma. And Avoma is a Zoom assistant. It's a Zoom meeting assistant. It takes notes. I'd use programs like Otter.ai, Fireflies. Avoma is my favorite, but it still does, that is an issue. One of the cool things with Avoma though is it shows you you can easily find out who's speaking at what point. So it's a little bit easier to navigate that. But you're right, I think Bob brings up a really good point, and that's, sometimes the AI will attribute the wrong website to the wrong person or the wrong job to the wrong person, which...
That's the human touch.
Whoever said what when,
Hey, Mark,
That's the
spell out
human touch.
Avoma for some people.
Avoma, A-V-O-M-A. A-V-O-M-A. They've got a free trial. It's pretty slick. It's my favorite one that I've...
Last question of the session, Jack Baldini, go ahead.
So, as a copyright attorney who helps creators protect their content when they've created it, and as someone who's embraced using AI as much as you have, I'm interested in your take on the copyright issue with AI, who owns it when you've used AI to create your content?
Whew. Yeah, I think that I'd probably need to ask ChatGPT to answer that. So,
That's already happening in the music industry right now, absolutely.
right.
Make sure you grab the QR code, because I'm gonna take it off the screen if anyone didn't. I think everybody did, but in case you didn't, it's about to go off.
Yeah, but I will say, Jack, and
You own it when you've used AI to create it and then post it, or?
at this point, that's the route I'm taking that I have, but I'm keeping very close attention to it. Like I mentioned, I have a friend who works at one of the universities down in South Florida. This is what he's focusing on. Who owns it? Because there's different forms too. There's the copywriting, there's the graphics, there's the video. And I think that's a very good question that has not been completely
As
solved.
someone who's also watched it from the legal end of it, I would say that it's likely that the Supreme Court is not going to uphold that you own content that was created by AI. If it's just predicted text, like you said, and a computer's just gonna predict what the next thing is, it's really not creative enough for you to own copyright it.
Well, and then you run into the issue of social media. If I'm posting on social media, who's responsible? Is it me or is it social media? And you're right. It's going to be a challenge.
No, it's a developing area for sure.
And my recommendation, if you don't have a podcast, that's the topic to talk about. That's the $1 trillion topic to talk about.
That'd be a good topic for next year's PodFest as things develop. Question for you, last question, because then we have to do some announcements. You're getting big into YouTube and you start as an audio podcaster. Why are you really doubling down and growing on YouTube? If you could just share your thoughts.
So still very active on my podcast too, multiple episodes a week. The reason I'm focused on YouTube is because I'm so passionate about AI. And you really need visual. You need the visual walkthroughs. And so that's my goal, is to walk you through 5-10 minute walkthroughs so you can have my program up on one side and there. But a lot of the concepts that we teach, like you saw the ChatGPT form, too hard to do that on an audio only. So, yeah.
It's interesting, right? So let's give Mark a round of applause. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, brother.
That was awesome. Great job.
Yeah, man.
All right, so hang out. We're going to be asking, Mark, you're going to hang out here, right, for people who want to talk to you after?
Sure.
Okay, awesome.